if you want to check for me. Since
I shall.
I think Firefox is still having a hissy fit with Twitch. Or can I actually log in now? I'm actually logged in. Amazing. Whatever that bug was is fixed.
And we're live.
What have you been up to today, Coop? I know you have tomorrow off as well. You were in DC. That's another reason I forgot we were doing this, because I was like, oh, Cooper's traveling.
It's in Washington, D.C. No, it was nice. Got to visit some museums. Luckily, kind of got there before all the weather was getting cold. Not just, I know it's there in the Midwest, it's a little colder, but here it isn't quite hit yet. So it's actually pretty nice. We can walk around, enjoy, like mid 40s.
Wow. It's currently 1 degree here. It was 1 degree yesterday as well.
This is consistent.
Yeah. This morning when I woke up, it was 0.
Nice. You can crack open a window.
Yeah.
Let some of the cold in.
Tomorrow's high is 5 degrees. Monday's high is 12. A whole 100% jump there.
It's January. It's the Jack Frost is nipping at those noses.
Yeah. So it's for the projection for this whole week, it's not going to get above freezing. Gets all the way up to 28 some days. Woo, heat wave.
Yeah, we're gonna get some of that here on the East Coast here soon, but it doesn't hit us quite as quickly, so I was able to enjoy it.
And then the week after that, it's going to shoot up to the 50s, so everything's going to break with the giant temperature change.
Feeling pretty decadent. I found a good deal on a 3-star hotel near the National Mall.
Oh wow!
So I was lounging,
living large,
drinking my water on a one of those like little sectional things that I saw on the bed while reading in my what do they call my wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
So good times. And how about yourself? You've been doing anything fun for the 3-day weekend?
I have been doing a lot of house cleaning that got neglected over the holiday season because, goddamn, I was not at home hardly at all, and when I was at home, I just wanted to sleep.
Catching up.
Yeah.
I guess when it's 1 degree out, that's apt time to be doing some inside chores.
Yeah. I went out yesterday, though. I went out and ran a bunch of errands that I hadn't had a chance to do. I got a 5-shelf bookshelf, so I won't have my DVDs and books laying all over the floor anymore, which will be nice.
Yeah, I always thought it was weird that you kept your DVDs in your bed.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to make sure they were close by and safe.
just in case you needed them.
But now I have a bookshelf laying there, so they're at least organized.
Wake up panicked in the middle of the night and find your copy of Over the Hedge on DVD.
You say
you back to sleep.
You say that as if I only have one.
Over the Hedges.
But yeah,
Good
we
to
can
have a productive weekend.
Yeah, I did mixed up a new batch of cider earlier. I transferred an old batch to a carboy. Probably waited a little bit too long. Probably should have done a bit sooner, but it was still bubbling so much I didn't want to touch it. But I'm worried it picked up a bit of bad flavor from the yeast. I'm gonna try and make some plum wine here. I was actually thinking about launching into that when my audio shop alarm went off. I'm like, oh shit, we are actually doing it. This is the first weekend in a long time we're doing it. I probably should be there. So.
Ooh, plum. I do like a good plum wine.
Now, this isn't going to be the same as Japanese plum wine, what you're thinking. This is more of a fruit wine that has plums as the base.
Okay, so I guess more fruity undertones.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more plum than wine.
Yes and no. It's going to be a different kind of plum as well. Purple plum as opposed to the green plum.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know the differences between plums.
Well, the Japanese one don't they use like, is it green or yellow plums or something? They don't even let them ripen all the way. I don't know. I don't know how they make it.
You're asking the wrong person. My knowledge of plums is that they're fruits and that some people eat them and or drink them.
And there's a lot of different kinds.
I would not know.
But you wanna get on into the year in review?
Yeah, let's do it.
So hello everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. It's been a hot second, but today we're doing a year in review. We're looking back at all the past albums that we've listened to this year, which isn't actually that many. We didn't get through a ton this year. Excuse me. And we're saying what our favorites and least favorites were from the year.
You know, we like to do a little best and worst of what we reviewed. Of course, we do our top 5 best albums, our top 3 worst albums. You know, we kind of trade back, mix some remarks of what we reviewed, maybe what we're going to review into the future. Of course, this will mean we'll have to put the year of the rabbit to rest.
Mm-hmm. So even though it is a new year, we still got the rabbits up because we haven't technically closed it out yet.
Yeah, this is the official. 2024 does not start until this review ends.
Yep. A whole 14 days. Yep. Sorry.
They're basically leap days, right? They don't count.
Yep. But just a quick review here. We did 21 albums in 2023, which is about a 40% hit rate on any given week. Which isn't great. This might be our lowest year ever, I think.
We had some dry months.
Yeah. The holidays were the worst. The November and December, just no chance.
Naturally, but we guarantee this year Sam will be every weekend on this podcast.
Cooper, we're already going to be out of the country for our 5-year anniversary. I got to figure out how to do that.
Oh yeah, well we'll figure that out.
We got to figure out if we want to do it earlier or want to put up a record. I don't know, but anyway, we can go through here. Do you want to do how do you want to do this? I don't remember how we did this last year. Do we just want to talk about our favorites and least favorites, or each?
Well, I'll give a quick read through of what we actually reviewed.
Okay.
And then we'll go to favorite and least favorite. So we did reviews of our 93rd to 114th album. You'll note that should actually be 115th. I labeled them 109 twice.
Oh, I see. So we did 22 albums this year.
Yes. So basically, you know, we're golden. You know, we're saying 22 or bust. So yep. I'm glad we made it.
That brings us up a whole 2% in hit rate.
So our year began with you know, aptly enough, Smash Mouth's Foosh You Mang.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a review of The Race for Space by Public Service Broadcasting. Number 95 was The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. 96 was Pictures at an Exhibition, performed by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Which didn't make it onto YouTube because I had accidentally muted my mic. And so for the first 20 minutes, it's just Cooper talking to himself. So that's one of the lost episodes.
Trying to make me sound insane.
Yeah.
It's blackmail material, so Sam can try to prove my insanity to get me locked up if he needs to.
Yep. So I can still control the company.
Then 97 was Latte by Snail's House. 98 was Ultra Rare Volume 1 by Mystery Skulls. 99 was Cracker Island by Gorillaz. 100 was The Electric Light Orchestra by Electric Light Orchestra. 101 was Paul Simon by Paul Simon. Maybe we should just do a full year of albums that are only titled after the bands that made them. 103, I'm not going to read the full name because it's too long, but it's Petrodronic Apocalypse by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. 104 is Shadow Kingdom by Bob Dylan. 105, Paper Mache Dream Balloon by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Dream Balloon. 106 is Ringo by Ringo Starr. We really did do a lot of self-titled
We did.
107 is Sombra Esquama Novo by Jorge Benyor. 108 is Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. 109, Sugar Hill Gang by Sugar Hill Gang.
Wow, we did a lot.
109 by it should have been 110, but I'm gonna just continue with
no, it's 110.
Well, I don't want to. Didn't have to go through and renumber everything.
You just add one in your head. It's not that hard.
No, but like in the titles is a Zombie by Fela Kuti and Africa 70. 110 Astro Lounge by Smash Mouth.
111.
111 by XL on Main Street by the Rolling Stones.
Actually,
Then, of
112.
course, 112 was Hackney Diamonds by the Rolling Stones.
Actually, 113.
113, of course, was Please Please Me by the Beatles.
Actually,
and
114.
we ended it off on 114, Ella Wishes You a Swingin' Christmas by Ella Fitzgerald.
And that was
I guess
actually
that's
115.
not self-titled, but it's a name drop of the person.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that if we were doing a year of self-titled.
Yeah, so a chunk of albums.
A lot of really good ones, too.
Yeah, it was. I actually had more trouble choosing my worst 3 than my top 5.
I agree. I only have 2 currently. I can't think of a third for the worst.
Well, then let's start with the negatives then, and we'll start with the top 3 worst albums that we reviewed this year, Sam.
Okay.
Starting with our third worst, so the one we didn't think was as bad, second worst, a little worse, and number 1 being the worst album that we reviewed this year.
My third worst, personally, was Race for Space from Public Service Broadcasting.
Ooh. We are actually in agreement there.
Wow, okay. Now, I picked this because I always think I'm going to like this album whenever I listen to it. I've listened to it many times, and I just keep forgetting because it's based around space, which I love. So I'm like, oh, I like this album. No, I don't. And it's not that bad. You know, it's not a horrible album. It's just, I feel like they left a lot of good ideas on the cutting room floor, right?
Yeah, I'm the same where I like the concept of the album more than the album itself, where it feels like they could have gotten a lot more interesting with, using basically sampling, space chatter or, NASA radio calls into a song. And really, they only really successfully do that on, I believe the song was Go.
Yeah, that's the best song on the album. The rest are just kind of meh.
Yeah, and the rest are just kind of like, it approaches more of the William Shatner school of music, which is man talking over music.
Yeah.
Which shame we didn't give the Shat any listens this year.
We can listen to his album. It is an hour long, though.
We could, but I don't want to.
But that was number 3. I don't actually have a number 2. I'm sitting here. I don't know.
I'll give my number 2, and we'll see if you concur.
Yeah, I think I have one I think I want to say, but we'll see what you say.
Mine is Ringo by Ringo Starr.
Really? No, that's not what I was going to say.
I mean, I didn't care for this album. It has its moments, it's got some funny moments. But for me, it's a pretty wholly disappointing album where it's either, just songs written by other Beatles that Ringo sings over, and he's not exactly a fantastic singer, to say the least. More just completely forgettable, kind of, jaunty songs that, are fine when we sprinkle them out of a Beatles album, but not too much whenever it's a full, 100% Ringo, 100% of the time.
See, I think I don't think that because I listened to his... Have you listened to his latest EP yet?
I did not.
You need to, because this will raise the old Ringo up quite a bit. For some reason, the new EP is just bad. The beat's good. The vocals are even worse, though. So it's...
You're saying I would think this album is better in comparison.
Yes, exactly.
See, for me, that's a point against that he didn't get better, that he actually got worse. But
that's not on him though. It's whoever decided to auto tune him on the latest EP. Stupid decision. He's not that bad of a singer. He's better than Yoko Ono.
I mean, Ringo is he's. I think he's been around the block enough to know how to produce music. So, at this point, I say it's on him.
That's fair. I think I kind of want to say Petrodraconic Apocalypse.
Ooh, honest, that's a little surprising.
But I think I don't know. I take more to the slower King Gizzard stuff. And it just didn't do it for me. It's also kind of forgettable, Like, at least I remember things from the other albums, even if I didn't like them. Like Made in Timeland, I remember that album, even if I really didn't like it. This one was just kind of eh. So it's a very soft 2 and 3 for me are very soft dislikes. Like, yeah, if I had to pick albums, these are the ones I'd pick.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't one of my favorite King Gizzard albums. I mean, in terms of the thrash stuff, Infest the Rat Nest, it's still better.
It might actually.
It didn't get into my top 5, but
it might actually be Hackney Diamonds though for my second, because that one actually wasn't very good.
A little disappointed by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, it's just Wasn't the best. I don't know what. I think we're in agreement on number 1 as well, Cooper. What did you? I'm gonna say it first.
I was
though.
gonna say I don't think it's the worst legacy artist pick.
No,
on this album.
The worst album we listened to this year was absolutely Shadow Kingdom by Bob Dylan.
And I'm in agreement here as well.
That was a god awful album. Holy shit! I can't believe.
I know you were a little tougher on it than I was, but I still out of this entire list. I mean, it's a. I know Bob Dylan has his fans, right? He's clearly a very successful artist. But sometimes for the life of me, I can understand why he is so popular. Maybe he had to be there. Or it's some sort of like tuning that we have not achieved, but yeah, the song it's just boring.
Yeah, what's that famous if Bob Dylan has a million fans, then my work is not yet my work is not yet done. If Bob Dylan has no fans, I can finally rest. Man, it was. I remember you said, "Well, we're so harsh on him. You know, he can't be that bad." You keep like you forget it's like an abusive relationship. You know, you forget how bad he actually is. He's that bad.
It's more like some sort of gaslighting experience.
Yeah, you gaslight yourself into thinking that we've made up how bad he is. No, we have not. He is that bad.
It's like his stuff put on like the greatest of all times list.
It's
right?
not good.
There's got to be something I'm missing.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the lead poisoning of the boomers. I don't know, but it's not good.
Maybe it's some sort of pinky in the brain type like mind control device.
That would explain a lot. That would explain quite a lot, actually. But man, that was a bad album. That was a really bad album, and it was the worst of the year. But moving on to something more positive. We'll get to the best of the year, which, damn, was this a hard list to make.
Honestly, it was.
And I'm not really happy with the list I've made. It's the one I can make right now, but I'm like, man, I wish I could get this album on here and this album on here. And we just listened to so much good stuff this year.
Yeah, we listened to some banger albums. So I'll start with number 5, and we'll kind of trade off between number 5.
I don't expect our list to be the same at all, except for maybe number 1.
Well, we'll start with number 5. Mine was Headhunters by Herbie Hancock.
Ooh, okay.
So, I think, again, I expect... I don't think there's any wrong answers for their lists.
No.
But this one just, it's a funky, jazzy album. It has some, obviously it's all instrumentals. But the songs are just so sticky, right? Watermelon Man is...
Yeah.
I can just saying the word watermelon, like, activates those, like, little, like, rubbery sounds that, like, start off the song in my brain.
I was actually just listening to this album earlier while cooking.
Yeah, it's a great snappy album. I mean, 4 songs, so they're nice and lengthy, and yet they don't ever say they're welcome. And it's just a pretty complete, fun album.
It's a very solid jazz album.
Yes. What about yourself, Sam?
I had Random Access Memories by Daft Punk as my number 5. Okay. I've been on a hell of a Daft Punk kick in 2023. And revisited Random Access Memories several times. I mean, it was one of those ones I had listened to before we did it, and I was like, wait, we hadn't done this album yet? Okay. And listened to it several times since. It's a tough one, though, because it's good, but I don't think it's the best Daft Punk album. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I would agree.
It's... I'm a bit torn because some of my favorite stuff from them just comes off of random spots. I don't know. It's a good album, and at the moment right now I'm putting it as my number 5. It's hard to argue with Daft Punk.
I'm completely agreement. Personally, for me, I put Random Access Memory as my number 3.
Oh, okay. Well, if we're saying that, then I put Headhunters as my number 3.
Oh, hey, there we go.
So we swapped.
No, for I was thinking maybe it was 2, but I just had to. I keep moving it back and forth in my head. But I have it 3 for Random Access. Where again, I might like Discovery a little bit more from there.
This one does. I forgot it does. Random Access Memories is the one with Touch, which is my favorite Daft Punk song.
Yes, which is it's got so many good songs. Maybe it's not their like tightest album, certainly not lengthwise.
Yeah,
but just it's kind of where they went the most, I guess, funky with it. Maybe some may not like it as going for as much of its poppy sound, but I'm personally a big fan of it. Where they kind of have a nice intersection of obviously maintaining their electronic and funk roots while also getting a little more progressive with the pop.
And again, my favorite Daft Punk songs are, it's either the really, really hardcore EDM ones or the really slow touch Face to Face, which is a bit not quite as slow, but similar vein. And it's just a good album. It's got a little bit of everything on it.
Yeah, and it was unbeknownst to them at the time, their swan song. Since obviously they were a couple 8 years after it came out.
Well, didn't they make the Tron soundtrack after that album came out?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like a proper album.
Yeah. Hey, Derez is the.
It is a good song.
If you listen through the soundtrack for Tron Legacy as a Daft Punk album, it's actually a really good album.
They did go much harder on a Tron sequel.
It's honestly probably the only reason I really have fond memories of that movie is because I just love that soundtrack so much. Well, jumping to number 4, Cooper. What did you have for number 4? Well, I guess you went first last time. It's my turn.
Yeah.
I had Electric Light Orchestra by Electric Light Orchestra.
We have the same number 4.
Oh my gosh, our lists are a lot more similar than I thought they were going to be.
Well, I'll let you go first in terms of your reasoning here.
I mean, it's ELO. It's older ELO, which is a bit more hit or miss for me. I'm a bit of a, even though I've been listening to it for a very long time, I am a bit more of a fan of the newer stuff. You know, Time is far and away my favorite, but it's just good. You know, it's
yeah. I mean, obviously their first one, they were still, I'm not gonna say working at the kinks, but certainly they didn't have the sound that they would become, most well known for. Mm-hmm. Obviously leaning a lot more into the orchestral, as opposed to the electric. I mean, I don't think, the Battle of Marston Moor is not exactly a finger snapper.
I do actually.
I don't
really
care
like
how
that
much
song.
You like it.
I like that song.
I know how much you like it, but you're also a weirdo freak.
I also should say that it's No Answer here in America.
Yeah, it's called No Answer, or self-titled, and what it was originally called in across the pond.
But it does have Manhattan Street Rumble, or Manhattan Rumble, 49th Street Massacre.
You do like your instrumentals.
I love that song so much. Queen of the Hours, though, is not a very good song.
Yeah, I mean, they're still figuring their sound, but, I got to give them points for it. There's still some good songs on there as well, so, at the very least, it's interesting, right?
I do kind of like that old style, though. The style they had for the first 2 or 3 albums, where it was very, very old mics, really rough sounding. It's a little endearing for some reason.
It adds some texture to it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe if you tried to repeat the sound nowadays, it'd be a little too squeaky clean or overproduced, right?
Yeah. It is very hard to parse the orchestra part of orchestra when the audio quality is that poor, but
I think it's worthy of number 4 here.
Yeah.
We'll skip number 3 since
we already both talked about those. You go for it then.
So I'll go for my number 2 then, which was The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
Ooh, okay. I had that as, I guess I'll say it now, I had that as my number 1.
Okay.
So we can just talk about that. It's hard to say because if it was just the first half, there'd be no question in my mind that it's number 1. But the second half of the album, it's just not as good as the first half, in my opinion.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from there. Where maybe it's not, some will say, obviously this is a popular take of, it's one of the best albums of all time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to disagree with that on any level, right? Obviously it's, even if you just take out, it's its most famous songs, right? And, obviously Breathe, Money, mm-hmm. Time, all of them are great songs in their own right. But it's also, this whole album's got a certain cohesion to it. Mm-hmm. And even if there's it might slow down a little bit in the back half. I mean, I still think Brain Damage to Eclipse is like such a strong ender.
Oh, yeah, but just nothing compares to the start of the album through the end of Great Gig in the Sky at the end of side A. that is one song that they just chose spots to chop it, It's so good.
Yeah, Great Gig in the Sky is like the emotional high point of the album. I still like how it ends with the brain damage and Eclipse. Yeah, I mean, what can I don't think we're gonna say anything that hasn't already been said about this particular album. Besides that, it's like basically like the must listen, the Citizen Kane of prog rock albums.
Cooper, what two white men that have a podcast have ever spoken highly about
You're
Dark
right. We
Side
should
of the
give this
Moon?
album this little gem its due. From little band Pink Floyd. I hope they come out with some good stuff in the future. No, apparently I remember reading that who was it? Roger Waters re-recorded his own version of The Dark Side of the Moon. That came out last year.
I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't very good.
I can imagine it wouldn't be. That's a lightning in the bottle moment. You don't try and do that again.
Which I haven't listened to it. I'm interested just to see how he changed it. It's but yeah, it's one of those things of like, I don't know. At that point, I'm not sure how you recapture that magic.
Especially just as one person.
Yeah, or what you could do differently here that would improve it upon what was already done. I think that'd be incredibly difficult.
So my number 2 was Paper Mache Dream Balloon by King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard.
And that was my number 1.
So we had the same lists. What the heck? We just slightly shifted.
Yours was 2. Mine was 1.
No, Cooper, but you're missing the fact that all of our top 5s were both of our top 5s.
Look, who's to say? I mean, I didn't look at your list. I know you didn't look at mine.
I didn't look at your list, and you didn't look at mine because I wrote it down on a paper 10 minutes before we started.
So, okay. Maybe great minds do think alike.
Yeah. Or fools rarely differ. One of the two.
Well, who's to say?
But yeah, that was my number 2. Man, this is going real quick since we all have the same songs. I routinely re-listen to this album. I'm pretty sure I listened to it twice this week. It's just so good. Time equals fate, time equals money. Those aren't great, but they're not as bad as some of the other stuff. But Trapdoor, I can put that on anytime. Just the best song on the album, hands down.
I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I obviously agree since I have it as number 1. I mean, I think, Dark Side of the Moon is probably the better album. If we're talking about literally technical achievement, but I've got the more emotional connection to Paper Mache Dream Balloon, right? Just that completely acoustic sound. It's almost
shit tons of flute, so much flute,
so much flute. Obviously, it's got some tongue-in-cheek, kind of darker songs throughout its run, its track, but still, it's just synths, bone, trapdoor, Paper Mache Dream Balloon, just great songs all throughout. Yeah, you could say maybe the back half's a little weaker than the front half, but honestly, it's one of my favorite King Gizzard albums. Just by how much they went with the sound and stuck the landing there, and the one out of all these albums that I re-listen to the most.
And plus, you can't talk about it without mentioning Paper Mache at the end, the flute recap of the themes of every single song in a single song. Oh, I love it so much.
Like who does that on their own?
It's beautiful, and it's a 30-minute album too.
Yeah, it's nice and tight.
I wish most of the songs were longer. That's a good problem to have.
So yeah, wow, that's it then. That's our list.
Man, that was really quick since we had all the same things. I was not expecting that.
I mean, I guess like you said, fools rarely differ. Yeah. So
I mean, I guess it's not too surprising since we both love Headhunters. We both love King Gizzard. I would say if I had to pick a 4th for worst, I might pick Cracker Island, personally.
that one disappointing. I'll admit.
And not because it was a bad album, just because of how disappointed I was. Because I will say it has grown on me a lot. I've gone back and listened to it. Some of the songs I disliked before, I am liking more now. But it was just a case of I wanted the whole album to be like Cracker Island, the first song that got released, and it was not at all. But like I've gone back. What is it? The song about Xanax. What do you remember?
I can't even remember.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Because I feel like with how we started on Gorillaz, we got to talk at least about the one Gorillaz album we reviewed this year.
That's true.
Cracker Island. Excuse me. Which one is it? New Gold. That one has grown on me a lot.
That one I remember liking a little bit more.
I wasn't the biggest fan, but it has grown on me quite a bit. But I mean, still, Cracker Island is my favorite on the track. Let's see, how are these ranking? Yeah, so New Gold is actually their 7th most popular song, which is surprising. Granted, not in total listens, but on the Spotify currently popular, it is their 7th most listened.
Right, it's one of their lead singles from their newest album, so it makes sense.
But Cracker Island, the titular track's only number 10. With about half the listens as New Gold, even.
Thought it'd be bigger than New Gold, but what do I know?
That one's about Xanax, so the kids like it.
The youths.
The youths. Also, Tame Impala's popular with the youths, right?
I do like Tame Impala.
Aren't they really old?
It's actually just the one guy, actually.
Oh, sorry, one of those. How old is he?
Probably in his 40s.
Oh, he started in 2007. Kevin Parker. No, he's only 37.
It's almost 40.
All right, well then, Mr. Almost 30.
You
don't get to dish it out if you can't take it.
No. I'll have you know I'm 22.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. And I was really born in the 1800s, yeah. But yeah, that's the year in review we've got. We're hard at work figuring out. I don't know if we've nailed down what the animal of the year is going to be this next time. We might have to talk about that after this. And then hopefully we should be back next week with a new album.
Yeah, I think that is the plan.
I don't think I got anything going on.
I think I should be available as well, so kick off the year on a good foot.
Yeah, we've only missed 2 so far this year.
So,
right?
Hey,
2?
I'm thinking we can get to 90% at least.
Oh, no, sorry, we've only missed 1. Because the year started on Monday, not a Sunday.
Hey, there we go.
So, we're off to a 50% start. That's good.
Already higher than our...
We're already higher than last year, yeah. But yeah, so that's what we got. You feel like doing a spare tire, Cooper?
Yeah, we can kick it over to the spare tire.
Yeah, which is just whatever else we've been listening to. I've already talked about it. I listened to Herbie Hancock today, and I'm pretty sure I listened to Paper Mache Dream Balloon earlier this week. That's really it. I listened to Dark Side of the Moon last weekend.
Really boning up for your top 5, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's why I had to pick them, because I'm like, what albums do I actually continuously listen to that we listened to this year? Listen to some more Brazilian Skies by Masayoshi Takanaka. I need to finish going through his discography.
They just have a lot of albums.
Yeah. That's really it. Been listening just through my my podcasts quite a bit, and just my liked songs list, which is, some Santana, some Daft Punk, The World Tonight by Paul McCartney and Jeff Lynne. That's a really good song. What about you, Coop? Have you been listening to anything new other than, unlike me, who just listens to the same things I know forever?
I've been listening to a lot of Weezer for some reason.
I listened to a little bit of Weezer this week too. I don't know why.
No, maybe it's just the Midwest white boy in me. But I've also Kali Uchis released a new album. It's like a Latin pop album, which was pretty good. Been listening to some Lafayette Afro rock band. I do like their music. Well, yeah, beyond that, not too much. Been keeping it a little chill.
Yeah.
So I'll have to make sure I get it further into the new year.
Yeah, I need to get. I've not been listening to a lot of music. I need to just start listening to music more again. Because I feel like anytime I've got spare time, I have so many podcasts that I want to catch up on that I just throw on a podcast.
3-hour podcast about a D&D session.
Yeah, well, mine are shorter. They're about an hour, but it's a Mystery Quest on YouTube. They do, instead of doing like one, I'm not a big fan of the one long, all-encompassing quest. I like little stories, right? So like one week they'll play Everybody's John. The next week they'll do they did Morkborg, which is like a Warhammer themed role play. Just nice little maybe like 1 to 6 episode series of D&D. Not even D&D, all different role play styles, but it's very it just draws you in, and then you jump to the next one. And they release them so quickly because they sit and record the whole thing in one that I'm never going to catch up.
But it's fun.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got.
That's all we got.
If you like what you see and you want to see some more, you can go to the YouTube, which has almost all the old episodes. If you're on Twitch, you just scroll down. It's the picture of Jeff Lynne. He's the guy with the fake afro and the shades on. That'll take you to YouTube where they all are. Are we still using that fascist hell site, Cooper?
We still have a Twitter, yes, at AudioShopPod, POD. In case you want to in case you want to know what we're listening to and when we're going to listen to it.
The integration with Twitch has broken in May. So you're not going to see the tweets there because, God, that site is horrible. And I don't know if any other tweet-based sites have Twitch integration. Maybe that's worth looking into.
It's falling apart.
So, and if you're listening on YouTube and you want to watch us live, 8 p.m. Eastern, usually every Sunday. Hopefully should be a bit more regular now. We'll see.
Yeah, give us a listen.
But yeah.
And we'll see you there.
That's all we got. We will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
We'll see you.